Good morning. How are you today? It's Saturday. We're getting closer to the Orange Menace leaving town. I should have left a long time ago, but there we are. Last night I appeared on Ari toward the end of the show, and the question really was, what is just or justice? And Ari put together a show I hope was appreciated for basically wrapping up all the elements that justify the question, what is justice here? When are we doing justice? And it's kind of the answer to, let's have unity. Well, can you have unity without justice? That's kind of the underlying theme. Something I was going to say additional things last night, and because Ari's show ran long, we only got a few minutes to discuss justice, if you will. But that's a long lecture. What is justice? But in the context of America, you have to ask what your frame of reference is. If your frame of reference is anarchy, or it's a dictatorship, autocracy, that's a very different frame of reference than if it's a democracy. And the reason that that's important is you have two different kinds of standards. In one standard, autocracy, the only thing that matters in our specific example is Trump. And he believes that, and he works toward that. And that's why he has no use for laws, no use for the Constitution. Indeed, even normal human norms by which we relate one to the other, he has no interest in those. Democracy, on the other hand, starts with the premise, imperfectly followed, that we're all equal before the law, that everybody is entitled to respect and dignity, that we have an assertion of rights against the state when the state does something wrong, and they're established in the Declaration of Independence, something, but certainly in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. So again, what is justice right now? How do we measure it? John Rawls wrote a tome on justice, and basically, in his mind, it comes down to a kind of fairness, and I think that's true. But how do you measure fairness? And in law, we have this notion, if I make up a law today for something you did yesterday, that's not fair. So the law in a community such as ours, a democracy, not an autocracy, kind of sets the norm. Okay, so let's bring this down to earth. Ari last night had on Comey, for instance, and he had him on, I think, he didn't say this to me, I don't know this, but judging by how he does things, as a counterpoint. Like, what is your view? And among other things, his view was he would, on the one hand, be glad to prosecute Trump. On the other hand, he thinks he should be pardoned. Okay, well, let's take a norm of justice. We pardon people not just because we feel like it, certainly not because we have a personal interest. You know, it's my son, my daughter, me. It's supposed to be because there's a countervailing interest that justifies erasing the punishment, erasing the stain of the prosecution. For what? You were innocent, that's one example. The punishment was too harsh, that's another example. You've done something for the community that's so extraordinary that it has to be recognized, and the reward may be to diminish the punishment. We can't say any of those things against Trump. And why? Because the standards of our civilization in the law provide it is a crime to try to overthrow our government. And it's no defense that you're an autocrat or a dictator and you think that's the way it should be, and that you can lie to do anything at all. Then that comes to two categories. There is, of course, the one in which Comey was discussing, which I think Ari then set back and contradicted in his presentation, basically saying there are laws and we have to respect them, and they're not being respected. And we're all equal before the law, and so they should all be applied equally. So if I commit the crime of inciting a riot, or I cause people to trespass, a felony, and a murder occurs as a result of that, I should be responsible for that. These are the kinds of crimes that would apply to Trump. Now, crimes are about punishment, but Trump sits in a very special place. He's the president of the United States, and there's a standard by which he is supposed to act. What is the standard? It's the Constitution: preserve and protect, defend. And then when you attack the government, incite people to riot, you violate that. And presidents and chief executives across the world are in special places so that they can be removed if they contradict the basic understandings, the standard of that civilization. And because they're different in a way, the normal criminal prosecutions may not be enough. So we have impeachment. Impeachment is not to punish. Impeachment is to remove one from office for committing a high crime and misdemeanor. Well, attacking the very government, seeking to overthrow it, ignoring the democratic principles, are all high crimes and misdemeanors. So by that standard, and it's a written standard and it existed long before Trump became president, it is just to remove him. And in America, in our Constitution, not only can you remove him, you can also bar him from holding public office again. His offense is so great. And in the resolution to impeach Trump is that provision. So you have two ways to approach any chief executive of the United States. You can punish him with the crimes he's committed, a standard that existed when he committed the crimes. And as president, you can remove him from office, and you can even go after him after he leaves office so that you may bar him from ever holding public office again. So, justice, prosecution of Trump; justice, removal from office; justice, barring him from ever holding office again. So that's what I was thinking about yesterday. I think that Ari did a great job on the show, but I'm a fan, and I think of myself as a friend. So I hope you get out today. A little chilly, but beautiful. All the best. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.